Dave.
And I'm Barb.
And we're the Pitcocks.
From Russell, Kansas. We grew up in a small town. My mom and dad were absolute workaholics. And they were so busy making a living that there wasn't enough time to make a life with us kids and really be there. At the age of 17, my parents also separated. And I came to a very hard realization that college was not going to be an option for me. And my mom actually ended up living in a trailer house with my 4 younger siblings, all sleeping in one king-size bed. That's how we were raised, that nobody's going to hand you anything. If you want it, you better figure out what your dream is and get after it and get working. Dave and I met early in, 6th or 7th grade. In fact,
we met at a skating rink. I had kind of followed her around all night. I don't think she knew I followed her around.
One day I was cutting hair at a little salon, and Dave was a professional bull rider.
I rode bulls for about 8 years. I actually got on the college rodeo team. I had an accident at a rodeo in Nebraska.
And ended up back in our hometown of Russell, Kansas, on his mom's couch.
Barb and I hadn't seen each other for probably 7 or 8 years. And I'm laying on the couch, and Barb and her sister end up showing up at my mom's house.
Of course, after being on the couch and laid up with all the surgeries and the injury, his hair was down to here, and he just needed to get a haircut.
And it was the first time in seven years we'd seen each other, and it was like we never missed a beat. It was like the 7 years was just erased.
And we had so much fun together, and we laughed and just had the time of our lives that I thought, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this guy. When Dave and I got married, we had nothing. In a little trailer house that he had here in Kansas, and just a shack. We had nothing.
We struggled like everybody. Basically, I dug ditches, and she cut hair.
I thought, this is the way that you have to be.
We were frustrated. I would leave at 7 o'clock on Monday morning, and I would not get home till Friday night late. And I was newly married. I had a new baby girl.
He would come home on Friday, and she was like totally different. She was growing up. We started thinking to ourselves how much she would change in a week.
And I came home from work one night, and she looked at me and she said, "You're going to quit your job." And I said, "I'm going to what?" We were just sick and tired of me being gone, and we were almost willing to do anything so that we could be together.
And at that point, we thought the answer was, what can we start to be an entrepreneur? I mean, that's the American dream. So we opened some businesses.
Owning your own business isn't always what it's cracked up to be. You want to be your own boss. You want to experience, having the time freedom and all that. And when people start their own business, that's what they think they're going to get.
We had so many businesses. I had a full-service salon. We had 2 or 3 tanning beds going around the clock. We started a coffee bar. Like back when espresso and coffee was new. We had a antique and gift gallery.
We ended up with $250,000 in debt. We ended up never really getting to see each other, constantly just doing everything we could just to get the bills paid.
Pretty soon we had 5 businesses. We woke up at 7 in the morning, dropped our kids off, picked them up at dark, and all of a sudden I had creditors calling, wolves at the door, cars being repossessed. It sucked.
When it got to the lowest of the lowest, I remember it was my daughter's 3rd birthday.
And we were sitting in the backyard getting ready to cut the birthday cake. Barney on her cake, all the balloons and all the family around.
It was a nice day. We were actually barbecuing.
And the sheriff pulled up in our driveway and he said, "I hate to do this to you."
My initial thought was my dogs had got out. He walked up and he said, "Dave, I've got some bad news." And I know the guy well. He's a friend of ours. He goes,
"I need you to come with me because the check that you wrote for $7.47 at the local grocery store bounced. And I need you to come down so I can book you and take care of this." That was the most humiliating. Just knowing that it wasn't that I was a bad person, and it wasn't even my husband that wrote the check, but it was on his account, and just seeing him have to leave the party and be so embarrassed because we didn't have $7.47 for formula.
Yeah, it's at that point where you really step back and wonder what the heck you're supposed to do.
That was it. I was just done. I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Dave and I swore we would never, ever be those parents that were never home. We would never be those people that made all those financial mistakes. We were going to do it differently. And what I found out was I was falling into the same exact footsteps as my parents.
When I first got introduced to the home-based business, I didn't even know what it was. My buddy gave me a videotape and said, "You need to watch this. It's an amazing way to make some extra money from home." And I actually threw the videotape in the back of my pickup, and it sat there for 3 months. And he took me to a meeting, actually. And when I seen it, it's like a light went on. It's something I'd never seen before. Every single person there was excited. Everybody there was talking about how they leveraged their time, how it changed their life. I'd never been around happy, positive people. I'm like, it obviously must be working for them because these people are different. And I left that meeting and called my wife. I called Barb immediately and I said, Barb,
honey, I found a way. We're going to get out of this situation. We're going to get rich. And I said, no, we're not. Those things never work. Nobody ever makes any money. You're going to lose money. We don't have the time. Besides that, Dave, you're not a salesman.
She laughed at me. She chewed me out.
I didn't have any extra money to spend. At this point in my life, I didn't have any more time. I mean, home-based business, I was never home.
And that next week, my best friend came over and we got our business started. And that first week, we started to plug into a system. And it was the first time I'd ever heard that concept.
And in 3 days, he made more than I made in 30 days of leaving my kids every day, working sun up until sundown. And he walked in with a check to prove it. Even then, I said, if that cashes, I'll kiss the ground you walk on, because I'm not believing it. And it cashed.
My first check was almost $900. My next one was $1,500. My next one was over $4,000. And I kept hearing the system, the system, the system. And that's when I understood that is how I got started.
A system is important for success because it's something that people follow that makes you always get the same result. And if you will do what other people have done to become successful, you will have success yourself.
After our third month in the business, we were making over $4,000 a month, and it never went backwards. I mean, for years and years and years and years, 15 years later, it just continued to go up.
I mean, when the checks started coming in, it was like, we have finally found the vehicle.
One of the best months we've had was $48,860
Yeah, we weren't even 30 years old.
for the month.
Yeah.
I never made that in a year.
It's like a fairy tale. I mean, a girl whose mom lived in a trailer court and a cowboy and a beautician. How could I ever have earned enough money with no education to live in my dream home? Actually, I have 2 homes, and the vehicles and the trips, and more importantly than all the stuff, just to have the wealth that we created from a simple home-based business. It's like a fairy tale. It's not like we invented some way that's new that you have to learn or have a lot of special skills to do it. Dave and I simply followed a system, and it worked for us, and we've been teaching that system for the last 15 years, and it works for hundreds of people. If they just make the decision to get started, plug into the system, and it's easy. It's like a recipe. If you'll just do what others have done, you can get the same results that they have gotten. We have made millions of dollars, and we've put that same system into place where average people that are just like Dave and I were, they're stressed out, they're working sun up to sundown, they don't have a college education, they don't have a lot of money to get started, and they're saying, what the heck can I do? It's very easy for me to tell someone and look them in the eyes and say, if you will just plug into this, I know you may not want to believe it, I didn't want to believe it, but it will work for you.